Evening, everybody. Thought we'd go live with a bit of imaging tonight. I've got the 1000mm Newtonian rigged in the garden, and I thought we'd slow over to Orion and see if we could have a quick look over at Orion. So I've just unpulped the mounts, and we'll go to the framing wizard. So I've got M42 there. Let's slew and center to M42. So the mount is currently slowing in the garden, and in a moment it'll take an exposure and we'll hopefully see a bit of Orion. So it's just letting the mount settle, taking a 2-second exposure. There we go. You can see Orion in the middle there. So it's just re-slowing an exposure, taking an exposure, and then plate solving. There we go. So we're on Orion now. Let's go and have a quick look at what's going on. So under the imaging tab here in Nina, there's Orion at the moment. And if you zoom in, there's the trapezium just there, the 4 little stars which are forming. So I'm going to take some 1-minute exposures on this, just for fun, and we'll see what they look like. So I'm just going to do 60 seconds, and I'm going to take 10 of those. They're just lights, and start my guiding as well. We'll start guiding. Ignore all of that. That's from when I was setting up earlier. So clear all of that out. Okay, so the mount is guiding. Excuse me. And we'll do it every 3. I'm not really going to create an image from this. This is just for fun, really. So we'll do 10 exposures, 60 seconds, light frames, no binning, and we'll leave it at that. Everything else can stay the same because I'm just going to hop around a few objects and see where we get to. Guider not connected. Let's go and connect the guider. Equipment tab. Guider. Cool. Hey Titch, how you doing? Hope you're well. Right, let's go back into the sequencer, and then we'll just start these 1-minute exposures. So my real target tonight is the Sombrero Galaxy. I can't say that very. Sombrero Galaxy. But that doesn't rise to where I want it to be for about 2 hours. So what I've decided to do is just set up, take calibration frames, and just basically have a look at a few things. So this is Orion currently. and haven't been able to image for a while because I've been doing lots of other things, particularly studying and work and everything else as well. So unfortunately I've not been able to get out this week, which has been clear pretty much every night, but that's okay. Tonight I am out, which is good. So hopefully we'll see a bit more of Orion now. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Isn't Orion fantastic? Look at that. Glad to hear you're doing okay, Titch. Are you going to PAS next week? Hello, Andrew. Hello. If anyone would like to put any comments down in the chat, I've got it down on this side, so I'll keep watching. So, yep, feel free to ask any questions. So what we've got in the garden at the moment is my AZ EQ6, and it is currently holding a 1000mm Newtonian, which is slightly reduced. So it's got a 0.95 coma corrector reducer on it, which makes the scope slightly faster, just slightly faster. And essentially, I think the focal length is about 950 or thereabouts, about f4.9ish or thereabouts. Yes, so it's got a 26C camera on it at the moment, and that's an IMX571 sensor. So it's an APS-C size sensor, which is why it's quite a large field of view that you can see here. This is not the target I'm going to be imaging, hopefully tonight. This is just fun because Orion happens to be up there. But I'm going for the Sombrero Galaxy later, which I've never imaged before, and fancy doing something completely different. So that's why, but it's not rising yet. So if I go back into the framing wizard, and we'll have a quick look. So I don't even know what the framing is going to be like on this. So I'm hoping at 1000mm, well, just below 1000mm, it won't be too tiny. I want it to be reasonably big, but I don't know. So we'll see. So there we go. So it's going to be fairly small in the middle, but there's lots of nice stuff around there as well. So should be interesting. How's guiding doing? 0.83. That'll do. So Titch says, had to go at Sombrero at one of the Stargazing Lounge star parties they used to do. Managed 3 subs and that was it. Oh no, that doesn't bode well, does it? Oh my goodness. Yep, guiding looks okay. Obviously dithering there. So back into Nina. Forgive me if I cough, which I am going to do. I had a really bad cold a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still getting over it. But yeah, these things happen. Orion's brilliant value, isn't it? Such good value. Where should we go? Shall we go somewhere else? Shall we have a look at the horse's head? I think we'll go to the horse's head. So framing. No, I'm trying to remember the designation. It's B something or other, isn't it? Not house, horse. Horse head nebula. There we go. So I'm going to, oh, let's go back. Oh, this is going to be interesting. So if there's the horse, there's the flame. You know what, we could probably see that. That would be good. Let's stop this sequence. And we'll go and slew and center to the horse's head. So the mount is now slewing, and of course the horse's head is just slightly higher up from Orion with, so imagine Orion's belt and Alnitak is basically where the horse's head is, very, very, very close. As you can see, this that would be Alnitak there. So it's got to it straight away. Let's have, we'll go into imaging. And it started guiding again, I saw. Yep, cool. Excuse me. Right, let's continue. I'm going to basically delete. No, actually, we could just continue from there. So we'll take a couple of 60-second exposures and have a look at the horse's head, hopefully. Cool. See you later, Titch. Thanks for joining. Much appreciated. Right. So that's Alnitak. Although my framing, I didn't really think about the framing at all. So that would be there. So we'll see what comes out. Wow. Hi Andy, this is from Darren. Joining you from Malaysia on an offshore platform. That's fantastic. Connection okay-ish. Nice to see you on. Wow. Thank you for joining. That's amazing. Okay, what can we see? Not very much. I was hoping we might see the horse's head. So I think that's the flame. That is the flame there. Not much to see there. Could do a longer exposure, I suppose, but I'm not sure we'll see it. I'll give it one more exposure and then we'll move somewhere else. Maybe rosette. Should we go to the rosette next? But you can see the flame. There's the flame nebula just there. Just that bit of detail there. So just an update for anyone who's just joined. We've got a 1000mm Newtonian in the garden riding on an AZEQ6, and I'm just hopping around a few stars until the Sombrero Galaxy gets kind of in a shot where I can actually image it, which is basically between two houses. It kind of goes. So that's the plan at the moment. So there's not much to see there, just Alnitak. So let's go somewhere else. So into the sequencer, we'll just stop this. Let's go framing. Shall we go to, we said the rosette, didn't we? Rosette A, I think it is. So this camera is an APS-C sized sensor, so it's quite a wide field of view, even though we're quite zoomed in. The beauty of that, it allows me to essentially crop in a little bit. There we go. This should be interesting. There's lots to see in this. So let's slew and center to the rosette. And then I might do a quick refocus as well. So it's plate solving, not quite there, so it's just re-slewing. And then it's just taken a quick exposure and it started guiding, so that's now centered, so that's great. We'll go into the sequencer and I'm just going to reset that, and excuse me. So we'll take a 1 minute exposure back in imaging now, and then hopefully you'll see some of the HA details from the rosette. So hopefully that should be the framing. So these stars that you can see here are these ones in the center frame there. Here we go, 45 seconds. That's hilarious. So you can see more stars. You can't see any detail at all. It's probably just the way it is. That's really funny. You can see a tiny bit there. I wonder, should we do a longer exposure? I think we probably need to. Let's go for 3 minute exposures. What's the guiding like? Will it take 3 minutes? Yeah, it'll be alright. Okay. So we'll stop this. So we'll go for 180 seconds. And let's see what we can see. So 3 minute exposure. Hopefully we will actually see something this time. I think Pleiades is now behind the house, so I don't think I can get to Pleiades, which is a shame because Pleiades is very pretty. But we could have a go. We'll see what this looks like if 3 minute exposures doesn't pull any hydrogen alpha out or any detail out. Because that's the framing. That would be nice to see. Be good to see any of these sort of dust lanes and the bright bits around. Ah, okay, that's a really good point, Darren. Good thing you know Nina. Right. Does everyone know Nina? So, I will give you a tour of Nina. On this side, on the left, we have got the equipment tab. Then we've got an atlas, a sky atlas. Then we have a framing wizard, which is this, which is the thing I'm using to find my objects. Then I have a flats wizard, which I've already taken my calibration frames for this evening. So normally you would use that probably at the beginning or in the middle of your imaging session to take your flats and your dark flats. Then you have the imaging tab. Now this is entirely configurable however you want it. I'm not very good at configuring it, but what you see on the screen at the moment is my manual control of the focuser, which is there. This is the autofocus part. So basically it's looking at the half flux radius, the HFR figure, and it does some maths with the size of the star, so that basically it moves the focuser one way and the star will get bigger, so the half flux radius increases, and then it moves the focuser the other way and the half flux radius value decreases, and then it goes even further and it increases again, so you get that parabolic, so or whatever sort of is hyperbolic actually curve in this setting. And essentially that mathematical calculation of that curve at the lowest point is where your best focus is for that particular setup. I hope that makes sense. So essentially it looks at the curve and then it takes the lowest possible value, and that's the position for the focusing. The squiggly graph at the bottom is in blue right ascension and in red declination. The little triangle that has just appeared there is dithering, so it's just dithered, and so essentially that's my guiding. This thingy here is quite useful if you look at the course of the whole night. So it's basically displaying the half flux radius and the stars that are present, and it's plotting a graph of those. And the beauty of that is you can actually see that as the telescope is guiding across the sky, you can see variations in the sky quality and also the quality of the stars and the radius of the stars, and it plots those upon a graph. So if you see that your graph has gone up as the stars have changed shape during the night, you effectively have lost the quality of those stars because they're not as tight. So it uses that HFR history to decide when it wants to refocus. So that's what that graph is. So over the course of a night, if you've taken maybe 100 exposures, hypothetical figure, and you can literally see a plot of where the stars are really good and where the stars are not so good, and then you can make an informed decision as to whether that data is worth keeping or not. So this bit here are the statistics about your particular image. So it tells you the size of the image and the bit depth and various other bits of information about the image you've just taken. This is an imaging control tab where you can basically say I want to take a exposure of say 5 seconds or 50 seconds or whatever duration, and you can just take it, and it's like pressing the button on a camera, and it takes a photo. So that's essentially what that is. And then behind my head, so why should I move my head? I'm going to go over there. So behind my head over here we have the sequence. So this is useful because it gives you data about the actual sequence that you're running, and it also tells you your camera settings as well. The one thing about this which is really useful is it can show you when your meridian flip is going to take place. So you can use this to basically supervise your mount if it's about to do a meridian flip and you're not sure whether it's going to complete it properly because of cloud or because of whatever reason. So that's it there. And then this is the image inspector, where basically we're looking at the different images that you've taken, and you can like them and you can double click on them and load them into the image viewer here. So, excuse me, I need to cough. Forgive me. So that's basically the imaging window. It's really good. It's very easy to get lost in it though, because not only does it show what I've configured, you can also have sub bits as well, where you can add extra information. I'm very much of the opinion that keep it simple if you can, simply because it's easier. If things are going wrong, you want to be able to see the information you need. So yeah, keep it simple. Move my head back now. There we go. So that is the imaging tab. Then you have your options tag, so this tab even, and within this one you'll notice there are a bunch of extra ones. So you can, in this particular bit, you can then select general information such as profiles about your mount. You've got your equipment that's attached, so the camera, the telescope, the type of mount, and anything else that's attached. If there is an autofocuser, which there is, this is where you would set up all of your autofocusing settings. If we were in a dome, this would be where the dome settings are stored. And then this is the imaging settings. So this is basically storing all of the information for the FITS file and the location of where it's going to be stored on your computer. And then plate solving. This is where you set up your plate solving. I just need to change the windows so that I can see if anyone's asked any questions. So that's basically the plate solving bit. So I've just got ASTAP, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And provided your focus is on and you've got the focal length configured correctly, it will just plate solve. It's really good. So ASTAP works every time. And then plugins. So I have two plugins. There are millions of plugins. This is one of the beauties of open source software. The amazing thing about Nina and many other pieces of software is that they are effectively developed by the community for the community. And the two bits of software that I use, the plugins that I use Hocus Focus, which gives you a faster autofocus routine, and I use the synchronization plugin, which is when I use my dual telescope rig. I have two telescopes and you need to synchronize the dithering and the exposures together so that the mount is not dithering, moving around up, down, left, right, when an exposure is being taken. So that stops one from imaging, stops the dithering until they've both finished their imaging, if that makes sense. So essentially, sorry, I need to cough. Excuse me. So essentially, it synchronizes your imaging from two telescopes. So those are the two which I use. Back in the equipment tab, you have all of the kits that you've got. So I've got my camera here, and that's cooled to -5, which is perfectly adequate, and I cool it as slowly as possible, over 15 minutes, to stop any dew from building up. And pretty much that's everything that I do with the camera. You can see it's at -5, and when it's working fine, it's absolutely straight line in terms of power. I don't have a filter wheel on this telescope. I then have a ZWO focuser, which is connected. That's doing the autofocus routines. The mount is connected through EQ mod. So this is EQ mod. So that's currently basically controlling the mount, and it's also controlling it via PHD2. So that's there. And let's go back. And then the guider connection is to PHD2. So that's just connected within Nina to PHD2. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, any questions, feel free to ask. I've got the chat down here, but that's a real quick whistle-stop tour of Nina, and it's really good. It's really good. It does take a while to get your head around it. Now I'm using just the basic sequencer at the moment, and there is the advanced sequencer, which you must use the advanced sequencer, if you are using the synchronization plugin, it requires that that you go into the advanced sequencer. You don't have to. You absolutely don't. In fact, I really like doing very simple imaging where you just go to the framing wizard. So currently we're on the rosette, although even with a 3-minute exposure, if I go back there, you can't see very much at all. And there is a stretch applied at the moment, so yeah, it's just the way it is. What we might do, actually, though, I might slew to a galaxy, see if there is a galaxy around that we could have a look at in a moment. Yeah, so in the framing wizard, this allows you, oops, I've zoomed in, didn't mean to basically find the objects you like. So if I was to go, let's say, I don't know if M51 is visible from where the telescope is, but M51, and then it comes up with the Messier object there, so you'd select that, and then I find it useful to load the image just to make sure you've not got it wrong, because it's very easy to make a mistake. So let's see if we can find M51. I suspect it's still a bit low, but M51 is there, which is 2 galaxies. There's the top galaxy and the lower galaxy, and they are doing what where 2 galaxies interact. So basically they're colliding, and it's essentially what will happen to the Milky Way, our galaxy, and Andromeda. Eventually they will interact and kind of either produce a new galaxy, or they will essentially go through each other and produce 2 different galaxies. But the likelihood is they'll probably produce a new galaxy. So this M51 here is 2 beautiful galaxies which you can actually see interacting. So that's the framing. Now you can see it looks very small because I have an APS-C size sensor on this particular telescope. But what we could do is go and see whether we can see this object. We might be able to. So I'll go into the sequencer now, and I'll just stop what we've got. And then I want the telescope to slew and center to this. So what you could do is add target to sequence, which will put it into the sequencer tab here. But I don't want to do that. I just want to keep this simple and just slew to it. So I'm going to go back to the framing wizard and just click slew and center. So I've clicked that. So now the telescope, which was pointing south, is now slewing round to point predominantly to the north, because this object I know is a northern object, which could be a problem for us because we're set up for the south at the moment, not for imaging in the north. But that's okay. We'll see what comes up. So it's going to take a while because essentially the scope is now slowing all the way around to point in the opposite direction. And then it'll settle for a few seconds. There we go, so it's settling now for 3 seconds, and then it'll take a quick exposure. And it probably won't be able to play itself. Yeah, I thought that would be the case. So it cannot see it because I believe the object is behind the trees at the moment. So I'm actually going to stop this because it will just keep going until it gets itself in a bit of a mess. So we can't go to M51 at the moment. It's basically behind a bunch of trees, which is a shame. So I'm going to actually see if we can go back and see whether the Sombrero galaxy is up. I'm not sure if it will be, because it said it would be rising a bit later. And if this doesn't work, we'll go somewhere else. But so basically I've selected the sombrero, and I'm now slewing and centering, and essentially we're going from the north now back to the south. Yep, it's failed to plate solve. So again, it's behind my neighbour's house at the moment. So we'll stop that one. Hey, you know what we could do? Where's M16? M16 would be good. Again, it might not be... You'll know what M16 is when I show it to you. You will recognize the Eagle Nebula even, which is there now. Again, that's a southern object. It's huge, but it's got the pillars of creation in the middle. Let's slew and center to that, see if it's up. That would be great to see. Again, I think that's later in the year. It tends to be a summer object. I can't see any stars. Yeah, not enough stars. Okay. Let's go back. Something we can see. We'll go and have a look at Orion. There we go. And we'll slew and center to Orion, because you will be able to see that. So the sort of big challenge, I think, for all of us is not coughing. Excuse me. Is the fact that we don't all have a perfect sky in terms of north, south, east, and west. So you have to pick and choose your targets for when you want to image those, and of course then it's entirely weather dependent as well. But we should be able to get back on Orion and see a bit of Orion anyway. So it's close, but not quite there. Okay, so there's Orion, managed to get there. Should we do a ridiculously long exposure on it? Let's just reset this, and then we'll go for, I don't know, 3 minutes, and let's just quickly double check that guiding's okay. So in PhD 2 I have just cleared out the previous guide graph. I've told the camera to loop. It's doing 2 seconds loops exposures, and I've asked it to select a star, so there's that one there, and now I've asked it to start guiding, and you'll see that it's got lots of green circles, so it's looking at all of those stars, and the square one is the one it's actually guiding on, and it should be taking an average of the positions of those stars and using that as its positional data for guiding. So let's go back into Nina. I'm just going to double check 5 second exposure. So I've just taken I'm taking a quick exposure now, and we should see a bit of Orion in the middle. Ooh, that's looking like it's cloudy. Interesting. I'm just going to go and check the telescope. I will be back very soon. Okay, so there's a very good reason we can't see Orion now. It's because it's gone behind my house. So that's why that's like that. So let's we go to the flaming star. Here we go. So the Flaming Star Nebula is there, and then Tadpoles is just there. So see if we can go to there. Quite interesting, that star cluster as well. That looks cool. So what's that called? I might not be able to get to that either. Not enough stars. Right, where can we go? NGC 1912. Might not be able to get to that, but we'll see. doing its thing. Okay. That looks interesting. See if we can go there. Might be a bit too close though. No stars. Why is that? I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to park and then just check that nothing's gone wrong with the camera. So equipment, mount, and then park. So I'll just park the mount, and then at least then I know it's pointing at a clear bit of sky, and I'll be able to see whether or not I've got an issue. Okay, so the mount's now parked. Let's see if we've got... Yes, so we've got stars. Good, so there's nothing wrong with the camera. I wonder... if we can get to M31. So let's see if I can at least get to a galaxy. That would be quite fun. So the mount's slowing. And it's exposing. Oh no, it's behind stuff again. We might be coming to an end now. Yeah. Okay. Right, I am going to park this for now, and thank you all very much for watching. I hope that was interesting, even though we kind of ran out of objects that we can have a look at. So I'm going to set this now up for the Sombrero Galaxy, which should hopefully be visible in about an hour or two, and then I can set this going for about 3 hours to image. So thank you all for watching, and take care, and I'll hopefully get another video out very soon. So see you all soon. Cheers now. Bye.